Brought to you by Bright House Financial, established by MetLife.
Well, it's probably the biggest purchase you'll ever make, buying a home. And before you jump into home ownership, you have to make sure that you're prepared. So what do you do when you know you're ready? CBS MoneyWatch reporter Jill Harding joins me now to discuss it all. So Jill, even before you go home shopping, you say there are some things you need to do.
Sure. So you should definitely plan your budget out before you go shopping for anything, but especially for the home, which, as you said, is the biggest purchase most people will ever make in their life. You need to know what your budget is and make sure you can, whatever home you're looking at is a home that you can actually afford. You should also know that most people, when they go to buy a home, they put a certain amount down in equity as a down payment, maybe 20%, and then they get the rest financed, which means you're going to need to go to a lender, like a bank, and you're going to need to apply, show them your financial resume. They're going to take things into account like your credit report, so make sure you check that. Make sure there's nothing like an unpaid medical bill or something that you have that could make it hard for you to qualify for a loan. Check your credit score. If it's below 640, you might not be able to qualify for a traditional loan.
So these are that 640 is an important number.
640 is an important number.
Okay, and so if your credit isn't good, or let's say you have a lot of student loans, can you still be in the category to purchase a home?
Yes. Student loans in and of themselves aren't necessarily bad, right? You're investing for your education. You're looking to make more in wages. That's probably why you went to school.
So it's good debt.
It's good debt. But there's also bad debt, we know, maybe high interest credit cards. If you carry a high balance, that could have a low score for you credit-wise, and that may mean you're out of that category, as I said, for traditional lenders. Something like an FHA home loan, which if you have anything above a 580, you can put as little as 3.5% down as a down payment. Or if you have between 500 and 580, you can put 10% down and still get that house.
Now, what are the hidden costs? Because I feel like there are so many hidden costs when you're trying to finance a home. What are they?
So if you have less than 20% as a down payment, you're going to have to pay private mortgage insurance, or PMI, on top of your mortgage payment. And that's something that lenders do to mitigate their risk. You're also going to need to take into account closing costs. Are you going to pay an engineer to make sure that your house is structurally sound? That's a few $100s. You're going to have to pay maybe for an attorney to be there present at the closing. So these are some things that you might want to keep in mind, along with the cost of home ownership, because you're now the landlord, which means maintenance is on you. And most financial experts recommend having about 1 to 3% of the home value put away in a savings fund per year to be able to maintain it.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
On top of trying to put down a down payment. You know, there's this theory, you know, when my parents were coming of age, that you buy a home, that's what everybody did. Is that thinking still the right way to go? Should you rent instead of buy?
Sometimes renting is the better option. It kind of depends. I go much more into the math on this in my article on MoneyWatch.com, but you do need to weigh the pros and cons of it. What's the longevity? How long are you going to stay in that house? If it's just a few years, if your job's not that stable, you may be moving, it may not be the best decision for you to buy a house right now. Maybe you should put it off. If you're going to be there for more than 10 years, you're going to really put down roots, it may be the right choice.
So if you're only on a 5-year plan, what do you do?
It honestly depends. You have to look at how much you're paying in rent versus how much you're going to be paying in mortgage. Take into account the tax implications. Understand what the housing market looks like. Do your research. And you can go to HUD.gov, Housing and Urban Development. I have that list on my article as well. And find a housing counselor that can maybe walk you through it if you need some more help.
Whether you buy or whether you rent, how does that affect your retirement?
So a lot of people end up thinking that their house is going to be a really big part of their retirement plan, right? You're going to sell it, you're going to maybe downsize, take the money from that and have it fund your retirement.
Exactly.
Most financial experts actually don't even take the house into account when they're looking at planning your retirement, because it's not a liquid asset. So you really need to think, if you're going to buy this house, are you also going to be able to save for retirement on the side? Can you fund a 401k plan? Can you fund an IRA? Because if you can't, the house may not be the best decision.
A lot to think about, especially last time you were here, you were trying to get us to retire by 40.
Yeah.
Jill, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Brought to you by Bright House Financial, established by MetLife.